Hello, it's the Monday show, and don't be mad at me, but I don't have a guest today. I mean, I totally understand that's the bread and butter of this year's show, but I messed up. Did not plan very well ahead, and I came up empty. But here I am with you as I am every day for the news rundown, the clip show. It's the shit show, everybody. I do have that for you. Very happy to have you here. I hope you had a good weekend. And here we are together, headed into the week before Thanksgiving. That's right. Next week, the 27th, is Thanksgiving. Have you a plan? Anybody going to be alone? Stay connected on Discord. Maybe we can start a Thanksgiving alone channel. Who's on it? All right. Well, crazy shit happening in the news over the weekend. It is high drama, ladies and gentlemen. It is MAGA-fueled civil war, and I and many of you are here for it. And I'm going to have a little fun with it. I'm going to go through basically what played out over the weekend between Scammy Davis Jr. and Marjorie Trader Greene. Yeah, that's what he's calling her now. Oh, man, it's the good stuff. So I'm going to take you through just a little bit of it in a hopefully entertaining way. Ron Filipkowski documented it over on the Weekend in Politics at the MidasPlus.com site. Says that after Trump's disastrous string of days last week, capped off by the terrible Laura Ingraham interview, which infuriated MAGA on several different issues, so then he makes it worse with way more vicious, very personal attacks on his former allies, Marge Greene, Rand Paul, Thomas Massie. This is all taking place over the weekend. MAGA activists apparently taking sides, tearing each other apart online over the past 48 hours. And it is, get out the popcorn. So first, I guess I'll start with Alexander Scamilton posting on his social media site. He wrote, "I'm now withdrawing my support and endorsement of, quote, Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene of the great state of Georgia. Over the past few weeks, all I see, wacky Marjorie, do is complain, complain, complain. It seemed to all begin when I sent her a poll stating that she should not run for senator or governor. She was at 12%, didn't have a chance, unless, of course, she had my endorsement, which she wasn't about to get, huh?" Then he writes, "I can't take a ranting lunatic's call every day. I understand the wonderful conservative people who are thinking about primarying Marjorie in her district of Georgia. They're fed up with her antics. If the right person runs, they will have my complete and unyielding support. She's gone far left, even doing The View with their low IQ Republican-hating anchors." And then one more. He writes, "Lightweight Congressman Marjorie Taylor Brown, grass turns brown when it He wrote, Marjorie Taylor Brown, grass turns brown when it begins to rot. He wrote that. Betrayed the entire Republican Party when she turned left, performed poorly on the pathetic View, and became a rhino that we all know she always was. Just another fake politician, no different than Rand Paul, Thomas Massie, who all caught being full-fledged Republican rhinos. Marjorie Trader Greene is a disgrace to the great Republican Party." He wrote Marjorie Trader Greene as well. So then Marjorie Taylor Greene responds. She writes, "I'm now being contacted by private security firms with warnings for my safety as a hotbed of threats against me are being fueled and egged on by the most powerful man in the world, the man I supported and helped get elected. Aggressive rhetoric attacking me, little old me, has historically led to death threats and multiple convictions of men who are radicalized by the same type of rhetoric being directed at me right now. This time, it's the president. As a woman, I take threats from men seriously," she wrote. "I now have a small understanding of the fear and pressure the women who are victims of Jeffrey Epstein and his cabal must feel. As a Republican, overwhelmingly votes for President Trump's bills and agenda, his aggression against me, which also fuels the feminist nature of his radical internet trolls, many of which are paid. This completely shocking to everybody. The political industrial complex, the toxic violent nature of American politics must end." Yeah. Could you deal with it? Is my impression of her even more painful than she is? Is it possible? So a lot of people were wondering what her boyfriend, Brian Glenn, who is the White House correspondent for Real America's Voice, often called on by Trump. He's the guy who's attacked Vladimir Zelensky for not wearing a suit and all that nonsense, dumb as stones. What was he going to do? Well, he answered that clearly by posting several pics of him with his lady friend, Marjorie Trader Greene. Brown, stating how much he loves her and he's standing with her no matter the consequences from Trump. Laura Loomer responded, "Nobody cares, simp. Trump should revoke your White House press pass." Glenn replied to Loomer, "Shut up, bitch." Loomer says, "Oh no, MTG's boyfriend who cheated on his wife to be with an ape is calling me a bitch. How will I ever recover?" Loomer then said she may move to Georgia to run against Marjorie Taylor Greene. "Should I move to Georgia? I told President Trump staff in 2022 she was bad news and that she would turn on him. I told the public in 2021, years ahead of the curve, of Marjorie Taylor Greene, one of the most wicked women I've ever met." And then Marjorie Taylor Greene goes on CNN, and I'll bring you the audio of that. MAGA influencer Cat Turd says, "Of course Marjorie Taylor Greene runs to CNN today and apologizes to the far-left loons, plays victim, and sucks up to the Democratic Party. This is the biggest and fastest meltdown freefall I've ever seen in politics in my life. Total crash and burn. It ugly. We have to get behind a primary opponent for Marjorie Taylor Greene." Then Greene said many of her recent criticisms of Trump are valid because he's sold out on his voters. She wrote, "I can disagree with the president at times, especially this Monday on the Marines' 250th anniversary when he honored the new Syrian president, who's an al-Qaeda terrorist and was wanted by our government for years." She said, "This and the Epstein files, that's why I'm being attacked by Trump." I'm losing my Marjorie Taylor Greene impression. Is anybody still listening? Did I lose subscribers? It really makes you wonder what's in those files and who and what country is putting so much pressure on him. Uh-oh. She's insinuating Israel's involved. Trump then went on to Thomas Massie and Rand Paul. Did Thomas Massie, sometimes referred to as Rand Paul Jr., because of the fact that he always votes against the Republican Party. Did he get married already? Boy, that was quick. No wonder the polls have less than 8% chance of winning election. Anyway, have a great life, Thomas, and his wife will soon find out she's stuck with a loser. I mean, I don't know where to go from here. It goes on. It is going on and on and on. It's a total MAGA civil war and meltdown if you're paying any attention, including here's George Santos, the recently pardoned former congressman who resigned in disgrace, was arrested and put in prison. He wrote, "I am at a loss. Something is going on in the air, and everyone I like and admire are at odds with one another. Heavens to Murgatroyd." All right, he didn't say heavens to Murgatroyd, but gotta embellish it a little bit. We heard from Jenna Ellis, who said Massey's beloved wife, Rhonda, passed away unexpectedly in June 2024. They were married 31 years. I know personally from my friend of more than a decade with Massey how incredibly difficult it was to find himself suddenly a widower and losing his best friend. I prayed for him every day. I was absolutely delighted he married a year and a half later and wish only the best for him and his beautiful bride, Caroline. Well, that's nice. I'm shocked that obese Juan Kenobi is going after a guy, Thomas Massie, Congressman Massie, whose wife died just because Massie wants to reveal the fact that Trump knows all kinds of shit about his old friend Jeffrey Epstein. Oh, and by the way, the Ayatollah Khomeini wasn't done. He later went after NBC's late night Seth Meyers host, who I love and always play clips. He wrote, "Seth Meyers is suffering from an incurable case of Trump derangement syndrome." That's TDS. He was viewed last night in an uncontrollable rage, likely due to the fact that his show is a ratings disaster. Aside from everything else, Myers has no talent, and NBC should fire him immediately. And then, folks, the post was ominously retweeted by his FCC commissioner, Brendan Carr. So that is not great. We don't like it. I dare him to try that shit again. All right, well, I do have some other stories I want to share with you, which include that our commander-in-chief is apparently set to host the Crown Prince, Mohammed bin Salman of Saudi Arabia's next week, and the prince is overseeing $63 billion project set to transform a historic town in Saudi Arabia into a luxury destination with hotels, retail shops, office space, and he wants to sign a mutual defense agreement with America, with D.C., with Washington, potentially advance a deal to transfer American nuclear technology to Saudi Arabia, which sets up a scenario in which old Groper Cleveland will discuss matters of national security with a foreign leader, is also a key figure in a potential business deal with his own family. So, of course, he's blending business and politics. That's completely shattered all of our norms, but, of course, ordinary in the Gulf with these royal families where hereditary ruling families hold nearly absolute power. The phrase conflict of interest carries little weight, writes Ron Filipkowski. All right, what else? What other terrible things do I have for you in the shit show? Well, Border Patrol has fanned out across Charlotte, North Carolina. The threat was made by that stormtroopering leader Bovino of the Border Patrol the other day, and he's followed through with it. They're in Charlotte. We've heard from listeners. Border Patrol agents descend on Charlotte this weekend. I've seen some pretty horrific videos already. A flea market that was typically filled with Hispanic vendors was canceled. Nightclubs that play certain kind of music, reggaeton music, on Saturday nights decided not to open. I support that, by the way, just because I hate reggaeton. No, it's fucking horrible. People are out of work and having to stay home. They're terrified. Catholic churches, which tend to have many immigrant parishioners, were unusually empty. I saw of one restaurant that at least closed, a bakery that closed for the first time ever. It's always open. The regime's crackdown on illegal immigrants arrived in Charlotte, resulting in 81 arrests on Saturday, continuing to Sunday, with Border Patrol agents fanning out across their largest city there in North Carolina. So keep us updated on what's going on there. I want to keep you updated on what's going on everywhere with these raids. And the assassinations continue as well. Pretty fucking horrible. I mean, this is absolutely reprehensible what they're doing, and somehow it's not getting probably as much attention as it should be. But the U.S. military attacked another suspected drug boat, killed, quote, 3 male narco-terrorists. Why? Based on orders from the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth. The attack, according to a post from the military on Sunday afternoon, an unnamed designated terrorist organization, so they don't even tell you which terrorist organization, was carrying drugs aboard the vessel in the Eastern Pacific and was struck in international waters. The boat was moving along a known narco-trafficking route, their words, and carrying drugs, they said. Well, why not just stop them? Why not shoot around the boat, stop them, and arrest them? Why are you killing them? It's a murder. It's terrible. It's absolutely illegal and horrible, and we should have nothing to do with it. And it's, I think, in many ways undercovered, and there's a lack of outrage over it, and I'm trying to provide some right now. But the legality is not there. The humanity, of course, is not there. And there should be mass resignations from the military, those carrying this out. There should be all kinds of lawsuit, and there should be war crimes brought against anybody carrying these out. This is completely unlawful, and America should not want to have anything to do with this. We should be ashamed for these attacks. It's disgusting and reprehensible, completely unnecessary, and it is destroying certain communities in South America where fishermen, by the way, New York Times had great coverage of this, don't even want to go out and fish because they're afraid they're going to get fucking blown up by Pete Drunk Hegseth. All right, well, those are the headlines I grabbed for you over the weekend. I should have gotten more, but like I said, didn't get as much as I wanted to done for today's show, but I do have some great clips for the clip show, so let's do that now. I like this from the, what is this, Texas Book Festival or Texas Tribune Festival, whatever. It's the editor-in-chief of The Atlantic, Jeffrey Goldberg, talking to the former Transportation Secretary, Pete Buttigieg.
Do you think that J.D. Vance is a fascist?
If it's convenient for him to be a fascist, he'll be a fascist. Maybe later on he'll go back to being a Silicon Valley Democrat. He'll be whatever he needs to be. Right? I mean, this is a guy who went from Donald Trump as Hitler, what he said, to, I have seen the error of my ways. He'll be something new later on, maybe.
A pretty perfect answer, by the way. Yeah, he's a hollow barrel, a blank canvas. He's a windsock. He'll do whatever it takes. He's a pilot fish to stay in power. No principles, completely corrupted, zero soul. He's a vampire. All right. Well, there you go, J.D. Vance. And now let's head over to NBC's Meet the Press, where Kirsten Welker had Virginia Senator Tim Kaine, who's on his heels over his vote to end the shutdown, to cave to Republicans. And that played out in this brief back and forth.
Senator, looking to the future, if Democrats cannot get an agreement on Obamacare subsidies, do you rule out shutting down the government again in January?
Don't ask me to assume failure on the effort that we're undertaking. I think we can, we ought to plan for success and then adjust if we don't get it. As you point out, the continuing resolution goes to January 31. We're guaranteed a health care vote in December. So we'll have a chance to put our best foot forward let the American public see. And Kristen, the public will see this debate on health care without it being drowned out by air traffic delays, SNAP recipients losing benefits, federal employees losing their paychecks for the third or fourth time. It would have been hard to grab everybody's attention on the health care issue if all of the other consequences of shutdown were drowning it out. Now the government is open, and now the American public will watch this health care debate, and we'll see which side are you on.
Okay, I don't hear you ruling.
All right. There you go. Well, there's that. Now let's check in with Marjorie Taylor Greene, Trader Brown, whatever her new nickname is. She was on CNN with Dana Bash, and Dana did a pretty good job. Got to give it to her. Give her credit. She was prepared and asked good questions to Marjorie Taylor Greene, called her out on her hypocrisy, and here's a little bit of that. Couple clips.
You're talking about lowering the rhetoric, which is important for everybody to hear from you and all of our elected officials. But there is some concern, a lot of concern among Republicans about the rise of anti-Semitic hard-right figures in your movement, especially after Tucker Carlson hosted white nationalist Nick Fuentes on his podcast, didn't question Fuentes about his vile language or views. You did speak at a conference hosted by Fuentes back in 2022. You were criticized, and you said then that you didn't know about his views. Well, Fuentes talked to Carlson about that in the interview. Listen to what he said.
Well, again, with Marjorie, I was a friend of hers, and she spoke at my conference, and then the day after, she pretended like she didn't know me. She pretended like she didn't know me and lied and said I had no idea the conference I was speaking at. She knew exactly what it was.
What do you say to that?
Well, first of all, I defend every single person's free speech rights. I think that's incredibly important. So I don't apologize for that, and I don't believe in canceling people. And I think it's important for people like Tucker Carlson and yourself to interview everyone. I don't believe in trying to cancel someone by refusing to interview them and question them. And I did speak at his conference back in 2022. However, I don't know Nick Fuentes. He's someone I've never exchanged text messages with or phone calls, but I did speak at his conference. That was the first time I had met him that day, and that was it. But I did watch the interview. I watched the full interview with Tucker, and I admire him for interviewing many people as well as exposing a lot of powerful information.
I hear what you're saying.
He does on his show.
I hear what you're saying about free speech. I mean, count me as guilty as a proponent of free speech. Mm-hmm. There's free speech, and then there is hate speech. And this is a man invited on a really prominent conservative show who said, even during that interview, he had a problem with, quote, organized Jewry, and he wasn't challenged on it. In the past, he has denied the Holocaust, called Adolf Hitler effing cool, talked about the fact that he thought Jim Crow was just fine, and on and on. So, again, there's free speech, and then there's just hateful language and sentiments.
Well, Dana, again, I told you on this interview that I'm committed to ending the toxic politics, and I think I don't want to have anything to do with it. You should have Nick Fuentes on your show, and you could ask him questions about that.
Nah, don't have him on, Dana. I don't think you should. I disagree that you should have him on. Don't platform that guy. But he is very powerful. He's tearing apart MAGA right now. America first, not Israel first, all that stuff. And it's been pretty effective, scarily effective. Let's go to another clip, though, where she just apologizes, just comes clean, that says she wants to be better. I mean, I'm not buying this song and dance, but I think it's a good thing. I do think it's a good thing. I think it's all about her own political ambition, and I'm not forgiving her for the past. I don't think anybody needs to, because she's a politician. We see through it, but at the same time, it's still a good thing to tear apart MAGA this way.
I stood with President Trump when virtually no one else did. Campaigned all over the country, spent millions of my own dollars helping him get elected. And I think that's incredibly important. And I do support him and his administration. And I support them in delivering the campaign promises we made to the American people. His remarks, of course, have been hurtful. However, I have something in my heart that I think is incredibly important for our country, and that is to end the toxic fighting in politics. And This has been going on for years, and it has divided our country, split up friends and families, neighbors, and it's not solving our problems. The most hurtful thing he said, which is absolutely untrue, is he called me a traitor, and that is so extremely wrong, and those are the types of words used that can radicalize people against me and put my life in danger.
What do you think happened? What do you think is the reason for this?
Unfortunately, it has all come down to the Epstein files, and that is shocking. And, you know, I stand with these women. I stand with rape victims. I stand with children who are in terrible sex abuse situations. And I stand with survivors of trafficking and those that are trapped in sex trafficking. And I will not apologize for that. I believe the country deserves transparency in these files. And I don't believe that rich, powerful people should be protected if they have done anything wrong. And so I'm standing with the women, and I will continue to do my small part to get the files released.
Well, that was quite a clip that went viral yesterday. If you hadn't seen it or heard it, there you go. Yeah, wild, right? All right, well, that's going to continue to reverberate. She's going to continue to be attacked. Everybody that gets close to him, he eventually destroys, and it's almost inevitable. Everything Trump touches dies, including Marjorie Taylor Greene and her relationship, and now she's living under threat. But people are burning their MAGA hats and shit over the weekend, so I don't know. This is definitely an inflection point. I'm hearing a lot of very serious people paying close attention, writing very interesting think pieces about the MAGA Civil War. Could this be the end? You tell me. StandUpWithPete@gmail.com. Your thoughts on that. Let's get to Jabba the Pizza Hut's top economic advisor. It's the nasally Kevin Hassett. He was on ABC's This Week, and in response to a graphic showing that prices for 10 food staples are up, he said egg prices are down year over year. You could have put that in your chart. Listen to this.
Yeah, but let's take a look at some of the goods that we buy, regularly in our household. Let's take a look at this. Coffee, as you mentioned, up 15%. Uncooked ground beef up 14%. Bananas up 8%. Fresh cakes and cupcakes up 6%. Lettuce up almost 6%. Lunch meat, salad dressings, tomatoes all up, well more than that 2.5%. Americans are clearly feeling that prices are continuing to go up, and with many of the goods that they buy regularly, they are going up.
Well,
and again, more. By significant numbers.
Let's look at it. First of all, when we came in, the very first thing that all of you folks were talking to us about was egg prices. Yeah. And egg prices are down year over year. You could have put that in your chart right there. But the fact is, when we had almost 10% inflation in the year of Biden,
that wasn't about economic factors. That was bird flu with the egg prices, just to be clear.
But the meat prices problem is we've shut the border from Mexico because of an infestation in Mexico. So there are a bunch of things like that are targeted problems. And also, so you have lunch meats and meats, but the meats are coming slower from Mexico because there's a pest infestation.
Oh, that's all it is. You fucking lunatic. Guy's such a dirtbag. Can't believe it. Anybody would ever take him seriously. He's so dumb. Everything he's ever said is wrong. He is the worst. All right. I think I said enough about him. Here's Senator Chris Murphy. We like him. He was sitting down with Jon Carroll on ABC's This Week as well.
A flawed strategy to begin with, the idea of using a shutdown as leverage?
Well, Democrats didn't want this shutdown, but we have values. And so if you want Democratic votes for a budget, it has to be a moral budget that doesn't destroy our democracy. The fact of the matter is, if you don't put constraints on Donald Trump's illegality, this democracy isn't going to be here next November. It isn't going to be here in 2028. So Democrats, yes, have to draw firm moral lines in the sand right now. We would be suckers if we were to sign on to a long-term budget that, for instance, fully funds the Department of Justice to engage in a witch hunt operation against Democratic senators. So we don't want a shutdown, but the situation is unique. Donald Trump is trying to weaponize our compassion against us. This is how we lose democracies all over the world. When despots or would-be despots say, I'm going to hurt the people, use their pain as extortion to try to get you to give me more power to corrupt the nation. So there is not an easy path to saving the democracy. There is not a path that doesn't involve some pain. We will have to find unique ways, as the civil rights movement did, to mitigate the pain for people. But there's no simple, pain-free path to saving our democracy. And I hope that my colleagues, who I respect greatly, realize that.
All right. There you go. There's that. And there's more. His reaction to more Epstein files related questioning on ABC's This Week.
All those related issues. On Epstein, the president is now demanding, or has demanded, that the Attorney General, the Justice Department investigate his political opponents. And Pam Bondi responded by basically saying, yes, sir, and moving in that direction. What do you make of that?
Well, it's both heartbreaking and totally unsurprising. The Department of Justice has just become a protection racket for Donald Trump and a witch hunt operation against his political opponents. This is why our democracy is in such peril right now, is that for the first time in our history, the Department of Justice operates in order to try to punish and lock up anybody that criticizes Donald Trump. I'm really proud of the work that Representative Matty has done in the House of Representatives, along with Ro Khanna. And yes, John Thune should bring that vote to the Senate floor as soon as it passes the House of Representatives. It's true that Donald Trump is trying to cover up for, I think, a host of really powerful and rich people, but he's frankly not that selfless. He wouldn't be going through all of this effort to try to stop the release of these files if he wasn't seriously implicated in those files. This is most likely the biggest corruption scandal in the history of the country. We know that because Donald Trump is going to these extraordinary lengths to stop these files from coming out. The Senate should take this vote. I think it'll be likely another big bipartisan vote, and I'm grateful to our House colleagues for sending it our way.
All right, there you go. Well, we'll see what the Senate does with it. If they get a supermajority, it can override a veto. Can they do that? What side of history do these Republican senators, much less House members, that'll vote on it, I believe, Tuesday, want to be on? Pick a side, bitches. Be on the side of not pedophiles. Pretty safe place to be. You know, I don't know what's worse, the person who commits the sexual assault against a child or the person who protects them. To some extent, sometimes I feel like the person who protects them is even worse because they allowed for it to happen again, potentially, by looking the other way, covering up for it. You can't do it. I don't care who it is. You can't do it. Here is Congressman James Tallarico, state congressman over in Texas, running for Senate, by the way, asking a pretty fair and obvious question.
When did pedophilia become a partisan issue? The American people deserve to know the whole truth about Jeffrey Epstein and every single powerful person who enabled him. Every name, every flight log, every cover-up, all of it. The White House and congressional Republicans are hiding the Epstein files. Why? These are the same politicians who call librarians groomers, who call their political opponents pedophiles. And to be clear, if there is a Democrat on that list, I will be the first to call for their prosecution. Because if there's one thing we should all be able to agree on, Democrats and Republicans, conservatives and progressives, it's that no one, including the President of the United States, should be able to cover up crimes against children.
There you go. James Tallarico. Great stuff. Yeah, well said. And here, by the way, are the victims of Jeffrey Epstein's who got together, some of them, to put together this very powerful PSA. And I think it's more powerful to see it than to hear it, but here it is. Let it rip.
I suffered so much pain. I was 14 years old.
I was 16 years old.
I was 16.
17.
14 years old.
This is me.
This was me.
This is me.
When I met Jeffrey Epstein.
This is me. When I met Jeffrey Epstein.
There are about 1,000 of us. It's time to bring the secrets out of the shadows. It's time to shine a light into the darkness.
5 administrations, and we're still in the dark. Call your Congress member and demand they release all the Epstein files. Go to worldwithoutexploitation.org. World Without Exploitation. All right. Well, that's what I've got for you. That was pretty heavy there at the end clip for you. So let's get to some laughs brought to you by Colin Jost and Michael Che, Saturday Night Live's Weekend Update.
Well, the longest government shutdown in history finally ended after 43 days. And, you know, first day back in the office, you got to check all those piled up emails. House Democrats released an email written by Jeffrey Epstein in which he claims that Donald Trump, quote, knew about the girls. It's bombshell news that legal experts are calling duh. This week's Epstein documents are obviously very dark and disturbing, but I also think it's kind of adorable that Epstein's email address was jeevacation@gmail. It's like if Jeffrey Dahmer's was dinnertimejeff@yahoo.
In one of the emails, Epstein's brother asked if Vladimir Putin has a picture of Donald Trump giving oral sex to someone named Bubba, which was an old nickname for Bill Clinton. So I guess that's one job Trump has created. I don't know if that oral sex story is true, but I do know that image is burned in my brain like that scene from The Shining. According to one released email, Jeffrey Epstein claimed that he was, quote, the one able to take Trump down, which is pretty big talk for a guy who lost to a bedsheet.
I just have to say, you know, in general, I don't really believe in conspiracies because as a member of the Illuminati, I know that we, the lizard people, control everything. And it's really hard to believe that Trump was so oblivious that he didn't notice his good friend was running an international pedophile ring. Though I guess Trump is the one guy on earth who thinks YMCA is a straight anthem. And on a basic level, it's just shocking how many alleged pedophiles Trump was friends with. Epstein, Prince Andrew, and Diddy. I mean, that's a lot, you know? I mean, think about your own friend group. You know, how many pedophiles do you know? 1, maybe 2. But Trump's like the Forrest Gump of meeting famous pedophiles.
The bill ending the government shutdown will fund SNAP through next September, and thank God, because I was this close to donating food. President Trump attended a Washington Commanders game on Sunday, and I guess he hasn't been to one in a while because he showed up in redskin.
It was also reported that President Trump told the owners of the Washington Commanders that he wants their new stadium to be named in his honor. So say hello to the Dementia Dome.
In a new interview, President Trump denied online rumors that the gold decorations in the Oval Office came from Home Depot, even though he has a whole team of guys taking stuff from Home Depot all the time. This might be my favorite episode. President Trump is threatening to sue the BBC for $5 billion for a documentary that edited out the part of his January 6th speech where he called for protesters to be peaceful. And to set the record straight, here is the full, unedited, completely accurate clip of what Trump said on that day.
Everybody knows I went down on Bill Clinton.
To see it.
All right, there you go. Some laughter, some comedy here at the end. In case you missed it, there's a meme going around. There was some misinterpretation, and everybody's running away with it that Trump at some point went down on, performed oral sex on Bill Clinton, which, I don't know, I guess that would be an amazing thing to learn. I just don't think that Trump gives anything to anyone. So he's a taker. Well, that's all I've got for you for today. I'm sorry I didn't have a guest. I'll be back with someone great tomorrow, and it's going to be a hell of a week. And and I think that we're going to have a lot to talk about, that's for sure. So I'll be bringing on some of your favorites and probably a couple new folks this week as well. I think I'm supposed to talk to comedian Mike Kaplan, who I haven't talked to in a long time. He's got a new album coming out. Really fun, smart, irreverent, thoughtful, kind, very funny guy. Looking forward to that. But that's all I've got for you today. I hope that you have a great day, and I will talk to you later, anytime on the Discord platform. Thanks so much for supporting me today, and patreon.com/Pete Dominic, of course, in case you haven't. That's it. That's all. Talk to you tomorrow.
Stand up, you gotta stare the devil straight in the eye. We got to let him know it's his turn to go. See it clear when all you hear is a lie. So get up off of your butt, get down off of your fence. And even if it ain't a very friendly audience, well, they'll begin to listen when you start making sense. And you stand up, stand up. No need to point your rifle to defend your town. Just stand up, stand up. You know they can't deny you what you're laying down. Oh, you better stand up, stand up. Show your face of every color, yellow, black, red, and brown. She's the place where every lost child will finally be found. There's only one thing to do before we stand our ground, and that's stand up, stand up. Well, the founding fathers saw a land for all. They had to stand up, they had to stand up. They had a keen imagination for a crystal ball, drawing all the plans of a stand up. But all they had to go on was the time they were in, with other causes for laws, and since they weren't even sin, they knew that change was gonna come before the change would begin. They had to stand up. All right, they had to stand up. We got to stand up. We got to look the devil square in the eye. We gotta let him know it's his time to go, and make it clear when all we hear is a lie. Why you lying awake wondering where the money all went? It'll be the cost of freedom that'll go unspent. You can see him flee the scene of that experiment if you stand up. Alright, we got to speak up, we got to reach up, and raise your voice in every way you know how. Don't be toes up, you got to show up. Ain't no better time to do it but now. No need to pledge allegiance to no wanton tribe. Rise up, show obedience to the voice inside, and listen well and it'll tell you not to run and hide. It says stand up.